And of course, there's a lot at stake tonight. To help us break it all down, we want to welcome back our panel of experts.
Political consultant and Republican strategist Matt Klink, civil rights attorney, Democratic delegate Areva Martin. Good to have you both back with us. Former President Trump trying to become the second president in the history of this country to win non-consecutive terms of the White House. Grover Cleveland, the first and only, a long time ago. What, Matt, in your view, needs to happen for that to happen for the former president?
I think that he needs to keep on making gains that he has, particularly with young men, particularly with young African-American men, and particularly with young Latino men. And what we're also seeing really is a realignment of the Republican coalition. You're seeing more union members. You're seeing more married women. You're seeing a lot of people that live in, he's picking up a lot of the suburbs this time. Trump has expanded his coalition, and he is challenging Kamala Harris in states, Virginia being a classic example. Joe Biden won by 10. Trump is only trailing by 1 percentage point right now. So he's growing that turnout.
But did he lose some of that, of the electorate in places like Pennsylvania after what happened at MSG in New York and that rally there? There's 400,000 Puerto Rican voters there, and they may have been turned off, obviously, by what that comedian said at his rally, and that could be the tipping point of whether or not he takes those 19 electoral votes.
They may share, although I will tell you this. In 2020, the Democrats led in Philadelphia by 1.1 million votes. In 2024, that lead is 400,000 votes. So it appears that that wasn't the case with those remarks.
Areva, I know you spent a lot of time.
I disagree with that. First, I got to correct this notion about black male voters. African-American women are the single most reliable voting bloc for Democratic candidates. We are, hands down, are going to go for Kamala Harris over 90%. And the second most reliable voting bloc for Democratic candidates, and including this candidate, will be black male voters. Black pollsters will tell you this narrative that black men are breaking for Donald Trump is just that. It is a false narrative. Polls have shown, and they do show, and they demonstrate that black men are going to break in disproportionate ways for Kamala Harris. There's not going to be some big wave of black male voters for Donald Trump. And you're absolutely right, Cher, in terms of what happened at Madison Square Garden, the disparaging remarks by that comedian with respect to Puerto Ricans, we saw caused a groundswell of support. We saw Jennifer Lopez, we saw Bad Bunny, we saw a host of celebrities, Puerto Rican celebrities coming out saying, where is your pride? Why would you vote for someone that makes the kind of remarks and has the kind of disdain for Puerto Rican voters? And as it relates to Pennsylvania right now, in the blue wall, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Kamala Harris is leading. The numbers aren't final, obviously, at this point. But I believe that it's going to be those voters, like Puerto Rican voters, like black voters, that have been the subject of the vitriol of Donald Trump, who are going to make a difference in this race.
I want to bring this to you, Areva, specifically because I know you were on the trail in the closing weeks of the campaign in the blue wall states, in the battleground states. Conservative suburban women who are either disaffected or undecided. Kamala Harris in the closing weeks deciding to make a permission structure, if you will, to allow those suburban women to vote Democrat, and she had the big help of Liz Cheney, the former congresswoman from Wyoming, a Republican who has a lot of sway. What were you seeing, what were you hearing with regard to that swath of the electorate?
Hearing exactly what I think Kamala Harris and her brilliant strategists expected was that there were a lot of women who were going to break with their husbands in terms of this election. Women who felt empowered to vote for Kamala Harris, primarily around the issue of abortion rights. We know that's a big driver. There are 10 states that have ballot initiatives regarding abortion rights, and women care about body autonomy. They care about having more rights or not having fewer rights today than their parents and grandparents had. And that has been a driver for young women who have been turning out in big numbers, registering to vote in those battleground states. And I think it's going to make a big difference in this election. Julia Roberts in that very, very powerful ad telling women that you can break with your husbands, and then seeing Jesse Waters on Fox News basically say that voting against your husband or voting in a way that's contrary to your husband is tantamount to having an affair. just proving the point of Republican men that somehow women don't have the right to make a choice about who they vote for. So I think women all over this country are empowered and are mad about the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Micah, there are millions of women around this country who, believe it or not, aren't solely driven by the choice and the abortion issue. They care about economics. They care that the Biden-Harris economics means you pay more to live less. Everything in their family costs more, and that's why it is the #1 issue impacting voters right now across the board. And immigration is second. Abortion isn't even a top 3 issue.
Well, okay, but there are some states that are coming in with abortion as a top issue.
Absolutely.
It depends on who you ask.
Different states on the battleground.
Yes.
Not across the board, but on some battleground states, when you ask them what the top 3 issues are, that is one of the issues.
Yes.
The economy, one; democracy, another. And it's interesting to see that those are those states that are coming out with democracy and abortion, which would lean more Democratic, are actually starting to come in as more Republican.
Correct.
So, you know, what do you have to say about that?
Well, we know Kamala Harris wins this election with 270 electoral votes, and there's a pathway for her through the blue wall states, through Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And every indication right now, as we sit here, is that she's going to win those states. And so there are going to be states that the issue of abortion may drive voters to the polls, but they may split their vote. They may vote for a ballot initiative to enshrine abortion in their constitution and still may vote for Donald Trump. That is to be expected. No surprises with respect to that, but still there's a clear pathway for her through those Midwestern states.
I don't agree with what Reva said, but I will tell you this. Right now, both candidates have a legitimate pathway to 270.
All right.
The case can be made for both.
Healthy debate is good for the conversation. We'll continue it throughout the night. Back with more in a moment.